Well, hello again, guys. Well, I'm down here waiting for another load of rocks to finish up my waterfall. I thought I'd tell you about something else that thought I'd just try to scare you. Oh well. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, you know, we all use aerosol cans, and they're really handy, but there's a couple problems with them. You know, they run out of propellant, or they run out of the fluid. And I was wondering if there was some way that we could either refill them with air or refill them with the fluid. You know, some of these things you can buy the fluid in bulk quantity, so it'd be a lot cheaper if we could actually refill these things. So sitting around wondering about this, and I came up with a little idea. Let's see if this works. Let's go on over to the garage, guys, and give it a try, see what happens. Okay, guys, one of the ways that we can get air back into these cans is to use these like valve stems. You can buy them at any parts store or hardware store. I've got some old cans of aerosolproject. It's sort of like WD-40, only it's much better for loosening bolts. And each of them have a little bit of stuff left in them, but they're pretty much out of air. So one of the things you can do is take one of these valve stems, stick it over the top of the this little plastic gadget here, and put the air right into it. And even if you only have a little bit of stuff left, at least you don't have to waste it. But doing it this way is kind of messy, and it really is only good for putting air back in. So what we need is a way to get air and the liquid back into these cans. As I mentioned before, you know, you can buy bulk quantities of this stuff. This thing here costs like 13 bucks. This costs like $4.50. So, you know, no point in keep buying these. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we can modify these things so we can do what we want to do. Now here's one that I've already done. So you can see that we've made some modifications to the can, and we're going to show you how we did that. Okay, the first thing we have to do is we have to get the rubber away from the valve body here. And before we do that, we got to take this little Schrader valve out of here. We don't want to screw that up because we're going to use some heat. Okay, we got that out of there. And now what we want to do is we're going to heat this with a torch, and this stuff should just melt right off of there. Okay, didn't want to go through the whole process of showing you how this melted off of there, but it does. It melts off of there pretty good. And then you got to clean it up with a wire brush, and then clean it up with some solvent or something. So this is what we end up with. So now what's going to happen is we're going to drill a hole in the can and put this thing in there, in the can. And first of all, what we got to do is measure this. See what it is, 29 1/28. What the hell is that? Let's see. 7/32, pretty close. So what we'll do is we'll get 7/32 drill, and maybe slightly higher. And this thing is going to fit down into the can, and we're going to solder it in there, and it's going to end up looking like this. Lester, I know you want to be in this video, but you don't know how to solder. you don't know how to use a drill, I tell you what, I'll let you be in the finale. You can be the MGM lion. Is that okay? Hey, is that okay? Okay, we're going to start drilling this hole in here. Somebody wake Mike up. Mike, this is very important because this could be somewhat dangerous, considering there may be some propellant left in here. I'm using one of these cans of window cleaner that I got instead of one of those coil cans. But anyway, the process is the same. So we're going to start drilling here, and here we go. Holy, what the is that? That doesn't look good at all. Hey Ted, tell Craig to give me a call. I'm going to need some help over here. Okay guys, well I finished drilling this hole by hand, mainly because my drill press is out in the woods somewhere. So we can start working on soldering this thing up. Well, first of all, want to make sure that you have a clean surface. So there's a little bit of filings left over here, so we want to get rid of that. And clean this up a little bit. You want to make sure that you have a nice clean surface here so that the solder will stick. What we want to do now is put some soldering paste on here. It's kind of an acid base, and it's going to clean things up a little more. I'm going to coat this valve up a little bit and put that in there and see what we got going here. Okay, before we start heating this stuff up here, this little orifice in here has got some plastic stuff in there. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that that doesn't overheat. So we put some water in here, and that'll take care of any heat that will build up and keep things from burning up inside. So we got all the flux and everything ready to go. So let's see what happens. Now, one thing you want to make sure, you always heat the work, not the solder. So you got to get things hot here. And turn this around, make sure we're getting it everywhere. Okay, looks like it's soldered up okay. Not the best soldering job I've ever seen, but we'll see if it holds air. Now, I read online somewhere that somebody tested these cans. The average PSI before they burst was around 200 PSI, and some of them ran all the way up to 300 PSI before they burst. So they also tested the average cans that you buy with, at the store, already filled, that the pressure was somewhere between 95 and 110. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this can with 75 psi. That's plenty. There's no need to go any higher. So what we got to do is put the Schrader valve back in, and okay, now what we want to do is check and see it's holding air, not leaking or anything. Fill it with 75 pounds, and it's holding air good. No leaks, so we're good to go. Okay, so now what we can do is we can fill it. So we take the Schrader valve out of it, and the air is coming out of it now. Okay. Now there's different ways that I come up that I can do this. I can put a hose on here and like some kind of squirt can or a funnel or whatever. But what I've come up with works out pretty good. Is that I've filled this with this stuff already. So what we can do is just, the easiest way is just go ahead and put it in there, squeeze the handle, maybe put 2 or 3 ounces in just to test it. So put the valve back in and throw some air to it. These nozzles, I don't know what happened to the nozzle with the original can, but I got a lot of old nozzles, and sometimes these nozzles that don't fit the original can leak a little bit, but I'll eventually find one that works all right with leaking. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this and see what we got here. Yep, see? Nice stream. It does leak a little bit, but we knew that might happen. So as I told you before, I'd made up one previous, and it's got a good cap on it, and it's got no leaks. I'll show you. Put some air in it, and see, that works great. No leaks. So that's about it. All right, one last thing, guys. When you're filling this, you want to avoid getting moisture in there. Depending on what kind of fluid you're going to be putting in there, this could be a problem. But since you all modified your compressors by now, I'm sure that's not going to be an issue. Well, it looks like I got a real moneymaker here. Hey, you laughing at me? I've done the math. I figure that over the next 5 years, I can save $1.37. Not bad, huh? Looks like I've got a home run here, boys. See you later.